Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the other side of the coin. A couple of interesting topics to talk about, not necessarily entirely Chelsea news, but somewhat related to Chelsea, of course. We're not going to show you the news like the traditional way that I do, show you the news, give you opinions. As I said, I'm on a different laptop. Generally, I have my work laptop, which is a lot easier for me to operate. I've got this different one where I'm not too familiar with some of the some of the commands. So we're going to try and just do this without any news visualization. So look, first topic that I want to talk to you guys about is in regards to a particular news that dropped late yesterday UK time, where Mauricio Pochettino has come out publicly and admitted that this particular squad that we have is a young squad, and this is, I suppose, somewhat linked to us having a not so great season so far. He was trying to sort of insinuate that the young squad does not help the situation. We have to be patient, and this is why the performances are up and down and inconsistent. He didn't say that players being young is an issue. Like, you can have certain players being young, but when you have 16, 17 players of the similar sort of age and the squad is young, that's when you may start having a bit of trouble in the Premier League. Now, overall, his comments, it's understandable. It 100% is understandable. And a couple of things I want to say about this. One, it's good to see that he's coming out publicly and kind of stating against the board or the owners, their directive. I think he's trying to send a message to them by saying that, look, if you're ambitious to do something, considerably successful in the Premier League, then you can't be running the show with the young squad. But if your direction is, all right, let's get the young players in, let's try and develop them, and let's see what type of profit we're going to make out of them. Okay, perhaps few players will turn out and you can potentially make a bit of money out of it. So it's good to see from one hand that Mauricio Pochettino is starting to say a few things in public to send a bit of message to the board and the owners. Now, how that's going to go down with him, how that's going to be perceived, I don't think, the owners or the board kind of sort of calculated that perhaps Pochettino could do something like this potentially, because when they selected Pochettino, they were under the sort of perception that he's a yes man. He's not going to be saying these sort of things publicly and create a bit of a rift internally in the Chelsea Football Club. So from that perspective, not really sure how that particular news is going to go with the owners and the board and how they react to Pochettino's comment. On the other side, I have to say, look, as much as we all understand that the squad is young, we get it, but we also have to acknowledge the fact that the squad is also talented as well. It may be young, but it's very talented, in my opinion. I know some of you guys may not say that they're talented, but in my opinion, the entirety of the squad is not bad. A couple of players probably don't belong, but majority of the players are very talented. And I think where the Chelsea fan base are finding it difficult to, take in this particular season, don't forget off the back of last season as well. And I know that's got nothing to do with Poch or this current squad, but it's still an accumulation of pain. Where the Chelsea fan base are finding it difficult to take this season is, why 11th again? We're 11th right now. I mean, we could potentially rectify the season and make it to top 6, but that seems to be the issue. With the level of squad that we have, we understand that they're young, but you still should be able to be in the top 6 range and competing against some of the better teams. It seems like a complete mismatch when we come up against some of the better teams. I know we've done well against Man City. I know we've done well against Spurs. We've done well against Arsenal, but at the same time, we capitulated against Man United. We've not done well against Liverpool in recent times, and like teams in front of us at times we've not performed as well. So look, this is the gripe at the moment, that Pochettino, we understand it's a young team. We fully get all the, constraints and the restrictions of having a young squad. But at the same time, I think being where we are in the table is an issue. So let's see what happens. Let's see by the end of the season where Pochettino can finish. Let's see what the board does in regards to Pochettino's future. And let's see what we do in future windows as well. Do we continue the same scenario with young players, or do we actually go out there and now start buying some experience that seems like Pochettino is screaming out for? Now, second particular news is in regards to Callum Hudson-Odoi. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Callum Hudson-Odoi again scored for Nottingham Forest. I think now this is back-to-back 2 goals or 3 goals in a row. And already I'm seeing some parts of the Chelsea fan base crying and moaning that why did we let this particular player go? Not a single individual, not a single soul at the start of this season when we let go of Callum Hudson-Odoi to Nottingham Forest. And don't forget, to find suitors for Callum Hudson-Odoi wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to get a team to come and buy him. You know why? Because apparently he scored 4 goals in 4 seasons, and he also had a very abysmal season loan spell at Bayer Leverkusen. So at that point, not a single Chelsea fan was arming and oohing or doing any sort of noise to keep this player. Now that the season that we've had so far and some of the players, attacking players that have not performed, all of a sudden people want to talk about Callum Hudson-Odoi and why did we let him go? The question must be asked, another player that we've let go of and who's performing elsewhere. When you look at someone like Mudryk, who's not done well at Chelsea Football Club, it's money wasted. Look, this is called revisionism at its finest. I don't like using the words agenda, reactionary, revisionism, all of this stuff. I feel like sometimes fans don't understand how to use it. But this instance right here, this is a pure example of revisionism. No one complained about Callum Hudson-Odoi leaving at that point. And let's be honest, he wasn't good enough. He wasn't the answer for us. Nottingham Forest, kudos to you. And it's not something to get overly excited about. He just scored a couple of goals back to back. Let's see how this season ends up being for him for the remainder of the season. And if any case, he's not the answer for us. Yeah, we can now hindsight, we can make an assessment that, do you know what, that was money poorly spent on Mudryk, right? But this way we can make comments about so many things at our football club looking back, and we can make a judgment, we shouldn't have done this, we shouldn't have done that. The bottom line is, no one wanted Callum Hudson-Odoi at that time. So, look, I hate this revisionism, and I hate how all of a sudden, judge Mudryk on its own. Don't bash Mudryk even further, because let's be honest, Mudryk in recent times has not really helped himself, of course. Not just his on-field lackings, but his off-field shenanigans as well. But let's not create another piece of argument against him with Callum Hudson-Odoi. I don't think this is fair. So let me know once again in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen, what you feel about that. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Thomas Tuchel being disrespected all over Chelsea fan base. Look, first of all, kudos to Xabi Alonso for having such a mad season for Leverkusen. And they've just spanked Bayern Munich 3-0, which further solidifies their position in the Bundesliga. I mean, I think this is going to be after several years, could be potentially 10, 11, 12 years later, someone else could potentially win the Bundesliga as opposed to Bayern Munich. But still, there's few games to go. But look, you can praise Xabi Alonso. But you don't at the same time need to bash Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to get to Xabi Alonso very, very soon. Thomas Tuchel, we have to understand, he did a madness at Chelsea Football Club to take us from a position where Frank Lampard left us, where Frank said this team is not capable of winning anything. So many players underperforming. Thomas Tuchel came in, and the first game, everything changed against Wolves. players like Rudiger, players like Jorginho, players like Kovacic, players like Kante, players like even Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, Werner, everyone started to look better. Everyone started to look better. Ben Chilwell had probably some of his finest spell under Thomas Tuchel. Christensen, Andres Christensen, also started to look so much better. So let's not forget the kind of work Thomas Tuchel did for us. He came in and honestly, that Champions League campaign, the one that we just recently won, that was one of the most sensational campaigns I've seen, man. With all the adversities that we had, every single time we put teams away. Have a look at our scores should have been a far better. You know, I like to use XG when the eye test also supports the situation. Our games against every single one of those teams, from the round of 16 to quarterfinals to semi-finals, and even the final against Manchester City. And don't forget, Thomas Tuchel beat Manchester City 3 times back-to-back in that season. I think once in the FA Cup, once in the Premier League, and once, obviously, in the Champions League. That was an unbelievable season from Thomas Tuchel, and we should have won the FA Cup. And this is the other thing. Thomas Tuchel came in, won the Champions League, won the Super Cup, won the Club World Cup, and he should have won 2 more FA Cups and the Carabao Cup as well. The players let him down. The lack of finishing. Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, Christian Pulisic. All of these players let him down. We should have beaten Liverpool at least in one of those finals in the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup. And Thomas Tuchel's legacy at Chelsea Football Club, which I still think is fantastic, would have even looked even better. And don't forget the kind of stuff Thomas Tuchel did for us during that season where Lukaku publicly sabotaged Chelsea Football Club, sanctions, the sale of the football club to new owners. It was a mad season. We'd still finished 3rd. With all the adversity Thomas Tuchel had to go, and don't forget the personal adversities that Thomas Tuchel had to go through as well. With all the adversities, Thomas Tuchel, we never ever finished the way we are finishing now, 12th and now 11th. We were still in the Champions League and we were competing in the Champions League. We might not have competed in the Premier League, no problems, but we were never this bad. So I find it so shameful that our fan base goes out there and completely annihilates Thomas Tuchel at every opportunity they find. Now, you know, the new flavor is Xabi Alonso, and everyone wants to, you know, get on that hype train. And look, don't get me wrong, Xabi Alonso is a very, very good manager, but we've not seen enough of him, man. Like, he's done a madness with Bayer Leverkusen, no doubts about that. Took Bayer Leverkusen when they were close to being relegated last season, took them, got them into Europa League, and this season looks like, you know, they're going to win the Bundesliga, and they're on a like something mad, like 20 plus games unbeaten run at the moment. Hot favorites probably for the Europa League as well. So Xabi Alonso, I know Liverpool fans are going mad. I know some Chelsea fans probably want Xabi Alonso as well instead of Pochettino, and no problems. I understand your argument, but don't forget, Xabi Alonso hasn't done this for a long period of time. There's nothing to sort of suggest that Xabi Alonso, he'll come to the Premier League and he'll just light it up. If I'm Xabi Alonso, I'd actually stick around with Leverkusen for at least another season, because he will get good roles. But if he can solidify his situation with Leverkusen, which, look, I don't think he's going to stick around at Leverkusen. He's going to win the Bundesliga and he's going to make the big move to the Premier League. A lot of clubs that have opened up, and not just the Premier League. Maybe he could even go to Barcelona. Who knows? I know he's got strong ties with Real Madrid, and maybe even the Real Madrid position. Who knows? I know he's got strong ties with Real Madrid, but you know, Barcelona could potentially make a move for him as well, because there's a position open there. And who knows? Maybe even Bayern Munich. You know, Thomas Tuchel could potentially leave there. So look, I get it. I understand it, the hype, but it hurts to see Thomas Tuchel get ripped apart. You know, we have to understand what Leverkusen is doing is apparently is pretty much unheard of. It's like the 3rd best season they're having at the moment or something like that in Bundesliga history. So they're doing something sensational there. You know, it's not like Thomas Tuchel is absolutely flopping. It's Bayer Leverkusen they're doing some madness over there. So look, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts about all of this that we spoke about, especially Pochettino and the young squad, Callum Hudson-Odoi, revisionism, and of course Thomas Tuchel and the Xabi Alonso talks that's been happening. Smash up the like button, and if you're here for the first time, subscribe, hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Until next time, everyone. Take care. See you.